Oh, we're live.
Here we go.
Oh, hold on.
That fixed it. You fixed it.
Yeah.
Everybody, thank you for tuning in to the Wii Like To Podcast 10th Anniversary Live Spectacular.
So we're here. This is incredible.
Yes.
And so I moved to Toronto.
And I stayed in Windsor.
And I got married.
I wrote a book.
And then I made a child.
And then I made a sandwich.
And we're back.
We're back. That was supposed to be...
There was supposed to be music
our
there.
Audio, and it didn't happen. And apologies to I Know Karate, who still lets us use their fantastic song, Just Fine, which is still available on iTunes, along with their other album and such like that.
And yeah, and I subscribe to Apple Music, and man, it's right there and it's available. So if you subscribe to Apple Music, or I'm hopefully Google Play Music too, it will probably be there.
Yes.
Maybe.
So, technical difficulties aside, welcome to the We Like To Podcast 10th Anniversary Special.
I'm Arvin.
And I'm Ben.
Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, this was really 10 years in the making.
Yeah, it was 7 years since our last episode.
Yeah, so the 10 years is because our first episode aired in February of 2007. Mm-hmm. And so now it's just one of those things where we're like, okay, we're coming up on this 10th anniversary. I can't believe it's been 10 years. What do we do? We can't just let this go idle.
Yeah, you messaged me in December, and we're like, hey, do you know it's been 10 years? I had no clue. I had no idea it's been 10 years.
Yeah, and so we're like, okay, well, let's do this thing. Let's do what we do best and what we really enjoyed, which was putting on a show.
And we're doing it. We're doing it live. And thank you so much for tuning in to that.
Yeah, technical difficulties aside, because technology, right?
Who knows? And I mean, this isn't our first live cast.
No, actually, our 31st episode was a live cast on Ustream.tv in your basement.
So many years ago. Yeah, it's the world is a completely different place now. And you, like we said in our little cold open there, historical cold opens aside, you are living in Toronto.
I am.
And you're married.
And I have an amazing daughter,
adorable baby.
Yeah, who just started walking last week.
Yes, and you're working in the tech industry.
I am. I'm a technology man. I do this pretty much all day for a living. Occasionally, I do a little bit of this. And you have been working so hard at being a writer, and you have a book.
I do. I have a book I threw away when it happened that I wrote with Christian Laforette, who he and I run our publishing company, Adventure Worlds Press. He better be watching because we need all the viewers we can get. And we have 3 or 4 books coming out this year, so it's pretty exciting. It's a lot of work.
That's awesome.
Which I'm completely foreign to.
But you know what? Enough about us.
Right.
Let's get to the meat and potatoes of the podcast.
Let's do what we do best.
All right, and let's start our week
in review. Okay, opposed to what used to happen all the time, Arvin would write these things out, but I actually did it this time.
Yeah, so normally, and this is how kind of the podcast used to work, is pretty much you've said it, and I'll kind of just repeat what you said.
We'll get there.
Yeah, is that I did all the work, but at this time, Ben put all the effort in.
I did the news.
So, like, I'm this is all, like, new to me. Like, I'm so out of the gaming aspect of things, so this is, like, super exciting. But I did watch the Nintendo Switch opening.
One of the most uncomfortable things to watch.
Yeah, if they made another Switch pun, I was going to lose it. It was insane. So most of our news this week, or this episode, or this live stream, or this decade, I guess, is going to be about the Nintendo Switch.
Because it's the closest thing
we have to the Wii, yeah. And so the Switch itself is coming out super soon.
Yes.
March 3rd, and it's coming out with Breath of the Wild, the new Zelda game, and there's like 12 different launch titles that are coming out, some of which are just ports of existing kind of more indie content, but Breath of the Wild is kind of the big draw. It's the big Zelda game, open world, open concept,
the one that maybe should have been on the Wii U a couple years ago. But either way, it's coming out now for the Switch and the Wii U.
And so, I mean, if you've been living under a rock, we highly recommend you check out like what Nintendo's doing with the Switch, because it's a hybrid console. It's a handheld unit that you can dock into a docking station and immediately available to you on your big screen, as well as the controller structure is such a way that it's meant for sharing, which is what Nintendo's classic at.
And it's coming out in days. So you probably already know everything about it.
Right. Well,
either way, I did want to mention, you did say that the indie titles, that there's 3 indie titles coming out on this like big launch list. Mm-hmm. World of Goo, they're all by the same publisher. World of Goo, Little Inferno, and Human Resource Machine. 2 of those came out on the Wii.
Yeah, and
so like
among other
they're
consoles
a little old
as well. Yeah, like you can get World of Goo on everything. Platform. Yeah.
Which, I mean, not that they're not great games, but I'm a little disappointed that it's not. You know, they're touting these games that are not really modern.
I'd say save your money and get the Zelda game.
Yes, absolutely.
And maybe we're going to maybe 1-2 Switch as well, which is like, you know, kind of the Wii Sports of the Switch world.
Which is not a pack-in,
unfortunately.
But what you're going to do, what you're going to do. Anyway, so talking more about Breath of the Wild.
Yeah,
because it looks super cool. I don't know what you know about it.
Very little.
I know a little bit about it because I was one of those suckers who did go out and buy a Wii U.
Oh. It's okay, man. It's okay.
While there have been some really fun games on the system, that was one of the reasons I bought it, is a new Zelda game. And it was talked about, and it was going to come out, and it was delayed, and it was going to come out, and it's delayed, but it's coming out now. Mm-hmm. And it's huge. So this game is open world.
Nice.
As opposed to the other Zelda games where you kind of have to do the dungeons in a specific order. This time you don't.
Oh.
If you see a mountain range in the background, you can just go there.
So, just fully open world.
Fully open world.
That's
you can just
awesome.
go wherever you want to go. You can do whatever you want to do within the confines of the game, of course.
All right, of course.
And, you know, you can just come upon random enemies and deal with them or not, or sneak around them, or leave them alone, or push a rock onto them.
So a divergence from the traditional Zelda formula of, you know, a cause and effect when it comes to doing dungeons or doing specific types of things. Right.
Every Zelda game is kind of an evolution of the last.
Sure.
But, so this one, if you haven't seen anything about it, just type in new Zelda game in Google, and you can. We would put maybe a video up, but we don't really have that technology yet. So you can go and see it. It looks really cool. It looks beautiful, and that one's coming in a couple of days as well.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So a little bit of weirdness with the Nintendo Switch. It's not going to support Bluetooth headsets like out of the box. So this was confirmed by Silicon Era. There we go. So wired headsets will work, but when asked about like how voice chat is going to work, Nintendo had previously stated that essentially they're going to be using a smartphone app that's going to handle a lot of that functionality. Right. And apparently that smartphone app is going to be what's used for not just communication, but also other types of interaction as well. Your points and all that other kind of stuff.
Yeah, they mentioned that that smartphone app is going to be pretty essential for a lot of portable aspects of the Switch. Which initially my reaction was like, that kind of is a jip, that you're buying this brand new system and it doesn't even do these things internally. But then I thought about it. If it is a portable system, and if you are anywhere, you likely have your smartphone, and it's already a system set up in place to do these things, you know, chatting and whatnot. Yeah, it's in your phone.
Yeah, and not to mention that if the console itself is ported or in the docking bay at home, well, then you don't have access to it to chat, so you're going to need the mobile phone to do it there.
So maybe it's cool.
Yeah, I think it might be a good idea to have the hub in something that's already there.
It could be. We'll see. Yeah, it's my turn.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, your name starts with B.
It does, as far as I'm known. All right, so if you didn't get a chance to pre-order the Switch, and I wouldn't be surprised because it sold out hours. It was hours that the pre-order.
That's wild.
Just like the Wii.
Just like the Wii, yeah.
So hopefully,
yeah.
Anyway,
crossed, right?
If you didn't get a chance, GameStops in the U.S., most of them are doing midnight launches, and some of them will have consoles available to buy.
Okay.
But the weird thing is, they're going to start selling consoles, pre-ordered or not, at 9 p.m.
So
You buy it at 9, but then you can't get it till midnight.
Oh, that's not confusing at all.
So if you're in the States and you want a Wii U or a Wii U Switch, and you want a Nintendo Switch, who wants the Wii U? Then you should probably call your local store and see what their deal is. Maybe they'll tell you if they have consoles or not. Mm-hmm. In Canada, at EB Games, because that's where we're from, it's a different story. Each store has their own rules. It looks like most of them aren't going to have consoles on hand. It's just going to be pre-orders. But you're going to have to call yourself and find out if they're doing a midnight release or not.
Gotcha, great tip.
Because a lot of them aren't, some of them are. It doesn't seem to make a lot of rhyme or reason which one's which.
Makes sense, yeah. Call your local store.
So give them a call.
Excellent. The website DualShockers is reporting that the Nintendo Switch is going to need a software update on day one.
Are you kidding me?
I mean, it's the way the world works, right? Like they package up the stuff, they send it out there, and the software guys are still working. So there's going to need to be an update as soon as you plug that bad boy and get it online. There's more than likely going to be an update. So hold on to that controller just a little bit tighter. It's going to take you a little bit of time. Get up your internet
It's speed. The way it is. Every console that comes out has an update now.
Yeah, and so there's going to be an update for the online functionality as well as some memory card expansion stuff, including apparently like linking your Nintendo account, adding friends, receiving news. So there's going to be a lot of different pieces of functionality that are going to be updated with this update. So.
Which I think makes a little bit of sense, because if you think about, like, a lot of these consoles have been floating around right now at different game sites and people who are previewing them. Mm-hmm. So maybe they don't necessarily want these people to have this functionality yet. So I mean, maybe that makes sense. I don't work for Nintendo. Yeah, I don't know.
And it gets people the latest and greatest. Yeah. And more than likely, and if this is often the case, there's usually bugs and security fixes that they find that they want to push it out as soon as possible.
That happens.
Yeah.
Okay, so more about the Switch. According to YouTube channel Game Explain, they had a console. They had Breath of the Wild, and they wanted to see how long the charge would last. So they put it on full brightness, Wi-Fi on, and played Breath of the Wild, and it lasted 2 hours and 28 minutes.
Not bad.
Not great, necessarily, but I mean, that is, it's not really telling you what every game's going to last. So you can turn the console brightness down. You mentioned before maybe Wi-Fi is going to be more intensive in some games versus others.
Yeah, if you're actually doing data transfer on Wi-Fi, just having Wi-Fi enabled is different than actually using Wi-Fi. So if a new game in the future actually uses Wi-Fi, you might find that number decreases a bit.
But turning the brightness down might increase it, and then less processor heavy games will probably last longer.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not a constant rule, but it gives you an idea about how long that battery is going to last.
And chances are, I mean, you're going to find people coming out with battery packs for it anyway. So
probably.
So like with cell phones, you're probably going to have
maybe Nico.
Maybe Nico. Let's hope
so. Nico.
I love our Nico. So I think, does that cover it for our Switch news?
I think for the Switch.
Yeah, I know that one thing that you and I have been kind of musing over the last while is what the heck is going on with VR.
Really? Seriously. Yeah. I remember VR back in the 90s. It was a big deal, and then it wasn't, and now it's on, like, everything.
Yeah, like the Google Pixel phone even has a VR component to it. I mean, it almost, to me, I think Oculus Rift was the first kind of company that with their Kickstarter campaign and everything that really jump-started the whole thing. And this is, like, almost 5 years ago now, or 5 or 6 years ago. But since then, it's just been this steady, like, exponential uptick in the interest in VR.
Everybody thinks it's going to be the next thing.
Yeah, and of course, like the only home console right now that even has a VR component is the PS4?
The PS4.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, like, what are your thoughts on it?
I don't know. VR to me isn't necessarily... I haven't experienced it other than on the Pixel phone, and it was kind of neat. But as far as a gaming system, everything I've heard about the PlayStation 4's VR stuff is that it makes you sick. And the games aren't great yet, and the people who use VR on PC have been saying some of the coolest things that they've played with are basically like room simulators.
Right.
Where you can pick stuff up and interact with it, which is neat and all, but you could just do that in this room. Right.
Yeah, and like my first experience with VR was in the 90s.
Okay.
And basically the amount of improvement since then has really not been that much. I mean, it looks a little bit better and it plays a little bit faster, but that's about it.
Yeah.
And which is kind of surprising because, I mean, but not necessarily, because you look at like what goes into building a PC right now to do full VR capabilities, and you're talking like you need a really high-end gaming rig. And I can imagine that what's out for the PS4 right now, and this is unfortunately because I haven't had a chance to play with it, it's not going to be as good as what you can get on the higher end gaming PCs.
Probably not.
But that's a lot of dough you got to rack out.
But if you are a console person,
yeah,
and VR is your thing, that's about your only option at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't. I mean, I see it being an interesting toy, but also there's some practical applications in like business and like mainly for like if you look at like what's happening in cinema right now for virtual cinema and all that kind of stuff, it's kind of interesting what you can do there. I don't know, from a home market. I mean, of course, the porn industry is. They always jump on anything, especially if you can increase and expand your experiences.
Smart money.
But
Smart money.
I don't know. I tend to lean towards it kind of not going into the mainstream.
We'll see. I mean, Lawnmower Man lied to us. We know
that much. Yeah, absolutely.
One last piece of news I want to talk about. It's not necessarily Switch related and it's not VR related, but there's a game coming out that I'm super excited for.
And what's that?
It's Old Time Hockey.
Old Time Hockey.
It's coming out soon for the PS4 and the PC, which I have neither of. And it may be coming out later for the Switch, which I don't have also. But Old Time Hockey, if you've ever played video hockey games...
I mean, ice hockey, NES.
Okay, you're a loser, whatever. I remember with my friends when I was younger, our favorite thing to do was play NHL 94 on the Genesis.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a classic.
And there has not been a better hockey game since then. I mean, there's been some cool games, and like NHL Hits is a lot of fun, but that is the pinnacle of video game hockey.
Right on.
So this new game, Old Time Hockey, it's that arcade style, but it takes place in a 70s beer league.
Okay.
So you're going to be getting the guys not wearing helmets, you're going to be getting the fights, you're going to be getting all kinds of fun stuff that you won't be able to get in an NHL branded game. And it's rated M.
Ooh.
So it's going to get bloody, it's going to get violent, it's going to get interesting.
There's probably going to be a lot of cursing and whatnot going on.
Probably. Yeah. And my favorite thing about it is that there's a certain control scheme. I'll try that again. A control scheme that allows you to play it one-handed so you can hold a beer.
Perfect.
In a beer league.
I'm sure it's aptly named like beer mode.
I bet it is. Anyway, I just want to share that because I'm super excited for that. And maybe I'll have to buy one of these systems just to play that one game.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, we bought systems for less.
Absolutely. I bought the Wii for the Wii Sports.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Which came with it. Anyway, so I think that's the end of our news.
Yeah, that's the end of news. That was the Week in Review.
Week in Review back in whenever modern Week in Review.
Should we call it Decade in Review?
Ooh. All we talked about was the Switch.
Yeah, it's true. So we thought we would take this opportunity to actually look back at We Like To Podcast.
Yes.
And the Wii itself. What do they do in those reunion specials? They always take a look back.
We got a surprise guest for you.
And it's no,
but we don't. It's
we
just
don't
us.
Actually. It's just us.
It's me.
So I gotta ask, what did you love about We Like To Podcast?
Oh man, so many things. It's so easy to look back on something like that with like the rose-colored glasses.
Right, of course. I mean, it's our baby, right?
Right, and it was all good times. Now, but some things that did definitely stand out to me was if you go back... Oh, by the way, all of our videos are up on YouTube. So this channel that you're watching now, you can subscribe to it, and you can watch all our old videos, the episodes, and the We Choose.
Yeah, so if you ever want to go back and listen and be nostalgic like us...
Yeah, it's a good place to do it.
Yeah.
So if you do look at some of those, you'll notice that some of the episodes we even mentioned, they were recorded really late.
Yeah.
Really late at night. Like midnight or whatnot, and we're punchy, and we're goofy, and... we're ridiculous, and we had such a good time doing like take after take and flubbing things and laughing about nothing, and that to me kind of encapsulates like the experience we had making it.
That's awesome.
But what about you?
I thought long and hard about this.
Okay.
And
don't hurt yourself.
I think intros were my like our cold open stuff, like the sandwich bit we did just now. But like if you go back and look at our cold open intros, they progressively get like wilder and weirder. And I think the best part of it was, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, but you were the brainchild of most, if not all of them.
I came up with a lot of the initial ideas.
And oftentimes it would be that you get here, you came to my house, and you're like, I've got an idea for our cold open. And then we have to scramble together, like, in props and whatnot. In order, like, we had, like, the thing wrapped around my head when you hit me with the Wii remote.
You with the Wii remote?
Or we, like, put tape down,
and,
like, the center.
And, like, put, nail polish?
Yeah, my mom's nail polish on my thing. And then, or put the tape down the center of the room. It's like any trope from, like, an 80s, like, sitcom that we could figure out, like, would go into these cold opens.
It's what we know, man.
It was one of, like, it was just those memories of, like, some of the really fun, spontaneous things that we just kind of...
I remember driving to your house and thinking, like, I don't have anything yet. What are we going to do? And, like, I got one more red light to figure it out, and getting there and maybe having a loose idea and us, like, brainstorming it out and, like, well, we got this. We could tape the wall or we could do this and coming out. That was a lot of fun, too.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
So... Flip side.
Okay.
What's something that you like? What's a bad or what sucked? Like what was a bad memory that you had?
It's hard. It's hard to pick something out like that because again, like looking back on it, it was a lot of fun and there were good times. And there are things I'm not super happy with, and I think probably the biggest one that stands out to me is the t-shirt.
The t-shirts.
Yeah, and you're busting out of yours, man.
I know. Well, I mean, I got fatter. What do you expect? I've got the dad bod rocking.
But it was such a mess with the t-shirts, and we had this idea, and we had them, we made them, and we were gonna have them printed, and that was a headache getting them done. And trying to get them out to you guys was a headache, and it cost us a ton of money and a ton of time, and I wasn't super happy with it.
Yeah, definitely in hindsight, we would have done that differently.
Yeah, not ask people directly what they want.
Yeah, I mean, well, business 101, right? Like, don't always listen to your customers because they don't know what they want.
How about you, though? What we talked about the good stuff. What's one thing that
I think the hardest thing for me was... The second half of what I guess would it be a season of our final season was just the inconsistency of us getting our episodes out, which really was demoralizing. Like it was I think what ultimately led to its downfall. But it was a really hard thing to get an episode done, like film it and then try to put it together, but then get caught up in so many other life things that by the time you try to get that episode out the door, it's already irrelevant. And we recorded so many episodes that we just had to throw away.
3 or 4.
And constantly saying every episode, oh, it's late this time. We're really sorry, guys. Like it makes you not feel like you're doing a good job. And I think that was one of the really hardest parts for me.
Yeah, man, I got to agree with that too. Like it was, part of it, I was living in London, and part of it was, I was coming down. But we were doing these things, and again, I've harped on it over and over again, and we've talked about it. I didn't feel like I was really doing my part with a lot of it, and a lot of the work rested on your shoulders. But
my broad, masculine shoulders.
But yeah, man, that wasn't so awesome. I wish we would have done a better job with that.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what would have happened if it would. I mean, it's purely for speculation.
One more thing I want to ask you though.
All right.
The Wii itself as a system.
Yeah.
Best memory about the Wii.
My best memory, and this might even go as my best memory of gaming.
Wow.
Was House of the Dead Overkill.
So good.
There was one night you came over and we were playing in my room, I think, or the basement or something.
I think it was your room.
Yeah, and we played for hours game. And it was for the purposes of a review that we were doing. But it just turned. I don't know what it was about that on-rail shooter and the way that the Wiimotes put it into the Nico blasters.
Yeah.
But man, it was so much fun, and like. Maybe it was just because of I don't know because we love arcade style shooters, but everything about that game and about that experience rests in my mind as probably one of my favorite gaming experiences, hands down.
And we're back. Hey, technical difficulties, but we're back. So, I think where we were cut off, you were talking about House of the Dead.
House of the Dead Overkill. I think it was quite frankly one of my favorite moments in like probably my gaming history.
Wow.
Just because there was, well, how do we even say it? It was an on-rail shooter, and it was like the two of us sitting in a dark room, playing through this game
in our Nico.
With our Nico. Honestly, the Nico thing had a gun add-on was probably one of the best.
Made a huge difference.
Accessories I've ever seen for video games, and like it was a purposes of a review, and we were like, we're gonna play this game, and it was just that campy 70s horror style. The whole experience of it was probably like one of my favorite moments in gaming.
It was so much fun. I remember trying to like. We'd get at the end of each level, you'd get kind of like how many hits you'd have in your score.
And we were always trying to
outdo each other and get headshots, and it was a lot of fun, Yeah,
they had that slow-mo thing that you could do and just pick them off. Oh, it was... If you haven't played House of Dead Overkill, if you have an old Wii...
it's on other stuff too.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, good. But the Wiimote with the thing...
It was perfect.
It's perfect. It's the experience of that, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so gotta ask you. What was your... Because I went first.
Right. Favorite moment of the week?
Yeah.
It is a question that we posed to ourselves a while ago, and we had time to think about it. And I have to say, there was a party at your house.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe about a dozen people or so. It was really laid back. And some people were downstairs, some people were upstairs, and people were going back and forth. And we were playing Wii Bowling.
Okay.
Downstairs.
I totally don't remember this, by the way.
And I was upstairs, but there were people playing the game, and then they'd like wander off and get another drink or whatever. And I remember you calling me that it was my turn next, coming up the stairs, but as you were doing it, you were bowling your frame, and you got a strike because you were a show-off. And I remember just that feeling of like, the Wii was like a part of this party, but it wasn't like taking over anything, and it was just a cool thing to have. As an accessory to the rest of this time.
Which I think, like if you look it back, like that was their intent with the system. Yeah. And it seems like it did that exactly.
They win.
Amazing.
They had fun.
All right, well...
We're going to move on?
That was a really good walk down memory lane.
I had a lot of fun so far. But we're not done yet.
We're not done yet.
We got more stuff coming.
A little bit more stuff.
So what we want to talk about right now is, while this is a one-off 10th anniversary show... We have a new thing happening.
We do?
I hope so.
Yes, we do. And we've been working super hard at it.
Yes. So, coming very shortly, we're going to be doing a podcast.
A podcast?
A podcast. A podcast called Flags and High Fives. And it's a retrospective, kind of a documentary style, on our episodes on We Like To Podcast, and I lost a place in my thing. So documentary style retrospective on We Like To Podcast, how it started, what it became, and how it met its demise.
Yeah, but I mean, more so than just a documentary, we really wanted to like dig deeper, like shove that knife in a little bit deeper into our hearts, and like look at ourselves and like what it really takes to succeed and be happy, because I feel like there's a lot of that's missing, I know, in my life, and it's something that I had when We Like To Podcast.
Right.
And so, that's what I think about that.
So you can go to the website now, flagsandhighfives.com. You can sign up for the newsletter, and the newsletter is the best place to find out when the shows are coming and get pertinent news, and we won't, you're only going to get those emails, so don't worry about that.
Yeah, no spam.
No spam. We've also got the Twitter page is up, the Facebook page is up, and the Instagram page is up too, so look for Flags and High Fives, and if you go to that website, the links will be there, so you can just click those and go.
Yeah, exactly. And so the show itself is going to be kind of hopefully around 8 episodes that are going to be released monthly, as Ben mentioned, audio only. But it's only the first of the new projects that we wanted to start. Right. And we're using this to kind of dip our toes in and really kind of ease back into this whole process. And by the end of it, we hope to have our next of whatever it is we're doing already in production by the time that this show is
the 8
kind
months.
of reaching the end of it. So we're really excited to try to kind of get back into this sphere of we have a lot to say, and hopefully somebody else wants to hear it. A
lot more than what we're just doing on this one here.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure we're going to throw it over. James has been helping us so much. Thank you so much, James. Wondering if we have any questions.
Not at this time.
No questions.
That's fine.
All right, so we'll answer a few questions that nobody has asked. Arvin is actually a woman.
Am I?
No.
Not yet? No, not yet. I'm
right.
Eventually.
And I am the king of Prussia.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
Can I eat that sandwich?
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Prop sandwich. Can you wait till we're done?
Yeah,
because I don't want you to choke.
Fair enough.
Okay, right. Let's move on then. This is my most exciting thing.
I think, so we're coming on, and if anybody who's ever watched the show before knows...
I can't wait! I've been waiting 7 years for this.
It's time to bash the PS3.
Oh, I'm so happy.
Ben and I, I mean, you're going to be deflated in a second. Ben and I are the biggest hypocrites in the world because we both own PlayStation 3s.
We do.
Now, I use mine as a glorified Blu-ray player.
I bought mine used a year ago.
But we both have to say that while it did have its flaws, by the end of it, it was a super solid system.
But it did have those flaws. And we're going to be going over them right now.
All right. So, it is big, bulky, and heavy.
It is so heavy. It's a beast. It is a power-hungry beast.
It's so expensive to get everything set up, especially when it came out.
Oh my god, it was like the most expensive thing ever.
It was insane.
It was hard to program for, to the point where there were documentaries about how hard it was to program for it, even though eventually Naughty Dog put out unbelievably awesome games on it.
Yeah, it was so poorly marketed from the get-go. Like, they used a Spider-Man font. Like, what was up with
that? What was that baby?
It was so creepy.
It was the weirdest thing ever, but we're still talking about it.
Yeah, that's true.
I heard that it smelled like Arvin.
Wait, it smelled like me, or it smelled...
you smell, it smells, you smell. Have a bath.
I give my daughter one every day. Does that count?
No.
The discs, the Blu-ray discs when they came out were super delicate.
We actually did one of our intros.
Yeah, exactly. On just like how terrible they were, like how easily scratched they were. Just awful, awful stuff.
It took years before there were enough decent, good games on the system.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
And no Rumble controllers at launch. Like, even the PlayStation 2 had Rumble controllers. Like, why? Why would they do that?
It's the weirdest thing. I don't know. It makes no sense to me. Here's one that you mentioned. Why no Rocket League, guys?
Yeah. Why no Rocket League?
How many times has this happened?
Well, I mean, I've been... People on the street come and say, "Hey, have you played Rocket League?" Like, people I don't even know. Like, Rocket League is so everything right now, and why no Rocket League?
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. They rushed to copy those Wii motion controls. Remember, like, what was it, the Move? The PlayStation Move? Like, they
big glowing balls on the front.
Yeah. They totally rushed it out of the gate because Nintendo was killing it.
Right. And the last thing?
Yeah.
It's not the Nintendo Wii.
It's just not the Wii. That's it.
It was, Sorry for stepping on your line, by the way.
It's okay.
I totally got the order wrong.
That's because,
whatever. I can't read, even though I write.
Yeah, you don't need to be able to do both.
No.
I think that wraps it up.
I think we're coming to the end. Unless any last minute questions?
No, but we should give a shout out
to
the experimental film and Chris Kruger and Carolyn Aviv for
okay, guys, thank you so much. Experimental film, Carolyn Kruger,
Chris Kruger.
Sorry,
Chris Kruger.
And Adi Krishna.
Adi Krishna?
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
awesome.
Seriously,
you guys are getting this before anyone else.
I'm kind of reading through.
Sorry, we do have a question from Adi Krishna.
Yeah.
Did you guys have any experience with a Nintendo 3DS?
Yes. I have one.
No, I don't.
I have the not big one. The first models that came out were small, and then the XL ones came out.
Right.
Yeah, so I have one. I bought one because, I don't know if you guys remember James Martin, who was one of our guest hosts.
On one episode, yeah.
Because right when we were developing the show, we were like, maybe he could be a host, maybe not, and it didn't work out. But he's a huge gaming fan and Nintendo fan, and he and his brother, they had them, and they were so cool that I wanted one.
Yeah.
And I ran out and bought one and a bunch of games and played it a couple times.
Yeah, it's weird. I never really got into portable gaming.
Yeah.
I only really ever liked console gaming on big screens.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those things. And even on my phone, I'll occasionally play like a tiny game, but never really dug mobile gaming.
Okay.
Which is weird. So, I mean, I don't know if the Switch is right for me either, but...
You can play it at home.
But you can.
I am a big fan of mobile gaming. I really liked the Game Boy. The first Game Boy.
Well, the Game Boy was kind of
awesome.
iconic.
And one of my favorite things about mobile gaming was that you don't have to be out and about. You can just be in another room, sitting in a chair playing a game. But now you can do that on your phones.
Mm-hmm. I think Carolyn also has a question.
Oh no, we got another one?
So Carolyn wants to know, where do you think you'd be today if you'd kept the podcast going? What would the show be today?
Oh man, if we kept the podcast going,
she's
deep.
She's digging deep.
She threw us a curveball.
So, I mean, I'm just gonna throw her under the bus because she's my wife.
Yeah. Thanks. She's upstairs.
And yeah. So okay, where do you think it'd be?
I think we would, if it were to keep going, that would have meant we'd have been able to monetize it, and it would be our jobs.
Yes.
So that's the first step. Step 2, we would have expanded.
Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind that there would, like, at some point we would have expanded to multiple shows, multiple hosts, and different topics.
And as the way people do podcasts changed, we would have probably migrated to YouTube.
Probably.
Maybe?
Well, it depends because, like, at the time that we started, there were only a handful of guys doing similar things to what we were doing.
Right.
And so the birth of, like, that kind of that podcast network, things like This Week in Tech, the Twit network and whatnot, like, they're completely self-contained. And so, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe something like that would have happened. But it certainly would have been something that we would have put... It would have become full-time for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it would have been something that we would have been spearheading, like, been the heads of.
Then I would have totally, like, thought I was too good for the podcast and gone off on my own and done a really bad TV show. And then, like, a couple of years later, come crawling back and pretend like I just never left and, like, left everyone in the lurch.
Yeah, some kind of serial cop drama with a dog.
Absolutely, with a dog.
Yeah.
Called Partners in the Rough. Top of my head. You're welcome.
Oh, wow. All right, on that bombshell.
Yes.
We have another question.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, the experimental film wants to know, were you all able to order Switches?
Were we able to order Switches? No.
No.
Not at all.
The short answer and the long answer to that is no.
I have a bit of a longer answer, but not that much longer. While Arvin, especially having a kid and a huge career, you're not really that much of a gaming guy anymore.
Unfortunately, no. That's a problem, yeah.
I am. I still love gaming. I can't afford it. I just can't. I'm spending a lot of money on putting books out.
Yeah.
So I hope maybe when it lowers in price I'll be able to get one, or I'll have friends who have them that will let me borrow it and play games on it, but I don't. I do have a Wii U though.
Yeah.
So for whatever that's worth.
For whatever that's worth.
Any more?
I've got one.
Yes. James.
So something you guys haven't talked about is live streaming of games. That's such a huge thing now.
It's so big.
What do you guys think about this? Would that have become part of your podcast?
Ooh, I don't know.
Maybe like in a Red Letter Media style, like or Mystery Science Theater 3000 style,
making fun of it.
where we're just making fun of terrible games.
I do know that one thing that we wanted as part of We Like To Podcast that we didn't do as much. We wanted a dedicated videos and a dedicated tab on the website for reviews.
Yeah.
And we just didn't have the time. It never happened. So maybe something like that would have come out of, if we had the time, we would have done those reviews all the time. So maybe that could have been incorporated.
And that's, I mean, the hard question to answer with that, or the hardest thing to say about that is, if we had built a network, would it have been specifically geared just towards gaming, or would gaming have just been one of the shows that we had of different types?
I think we definitely would have branched out.
Exactly. And so if that's the case, then it might have been the gaming folks that were specifically focused on finding new avenues like live streaming.
Or we would have shocked the world and invented it. But probably not.
Maybe not. Maybe. Who knows?
Probably not, no.
All right, I think we got time for one more question, and then we're going to
wrap it up. Okay. Is there one more?
There is two.
Two more. Okay, we'll do two.
Okay, so let's go with this one. Adi Krishna wants to know, are there any estimates on how many people have tuned into the podcast over the years?
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, there is actually.
We actually been looking up that info.
Yeah, because we used it in Flags and High Fives.
Yeah.
So I can give some basic metrics.
Yeah.
By the end of 2008 specifically.
Yes.
2008 specifically, there were, I think, 15 million hits to the website.
No.
No. Okay.
Okay. 2009, the last year of the podcast.
Yeah.
We had 5.8 million hits.
No, I think that's wrong too.
No?
Yeah. Pretty sure that's wrong.
Okay. Anyway, we did have over 1,000 YouTube subscribers.
No. All right. Sorry. iTunes subscribers.
iTunes subscribers.
So those are people that are getting it pinged to them directly every time a new episode comes out.
Right.
But in terms of total downloads for all of the episodes of all time, it was 239,000 downloads.
Yes.
So that is how many individual downloads of episodes have come.
Right.
Yeah.
And downloading doesn't mean watching it live on the channel.
On the website. Yeah.
On the website.
Yeah, that's completely different from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 239,000 people downloaded episodes, and then who knows how many more watched live on the website.
We got millions of hits a year.
Yeah. I think the 2008 numbers were like in the 15 millions of the hits.
You were the one who did it, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with your answer.
Yeah, but
15 million.
Yeah. Went to the website. But that was because of the forums too,
Yeah.
right? So
That was a huge part of it.
yeah. All right. What's the last question?
Okay, Chris Kruger wants to know, even with Flags and High Fives podcast coming in the works, would you ever consider bringing back We Like To Podcast?
I'm gonna go with
Probably not.
Probably not.
No.
It's I mean, the name itself is dating itself.
Yeah.
And so and that's the thing is we both started it because we wanted to get back into gaming as one thing. Like that was one reason specifically. We wanted to go into this together.
Right.
And we were physically, together. And I don't think that magic would be there.
A big part of it is we live in different cities.
Yeah.
And it's expensive to get from Windsor to Toronto.
Yeah.
And so just the sheer fact that it's a video podcast and we'd have to do it live together to get it to what we want it to be.
Yeah, because we've even with Flags and High Fives, we're finding that it's different being apart than it is together.
Yes.
Like being physically together and riffing off each other and planning together is part of I think what made the magic, and that's kind of the stuff that we're going to get into in the show. But
so while we do want to do other projects, like was mentioned, We Like To Podcast. Unless we do another anniversary special.
I don't know.
Who knows in 10 more years?
Yeah,
on our floating rocket island.
Wow, you got super aspirations.
Yeah, so probably not We Like To Podcast, but Flags and High Fives is happening, and something is going to happen after that.
Yeah.
So who knows what the technology is by then?
Yeah, that'll be exciting.
All right, so we're going to wrap it up?
Yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in and for all your support over the years. Clearly we have some folks that remember the old show and we're super excited that it's coming out.
It wouldn't have been what it was without you.
Oh, without you?
Without them.
Or without the sandwich.
Yeah.
So Flags and High Fives. The first episode is not out yet, but it will be, we're hoping, within the next
couple of weeks. Yeah, I really am shooting for within the 2-week mark of today.
Yeah.
Maybe on a Friday.
Yeah, because you put out
I put out blogs every Thursday.
Which you can find at
benvandongen.com, where you can buy my book, and you can read my blogs and all kinds of other things.
Yeah, and while my personal website's not really as cool as Ben's is with all of his amazing writing, I do occasionally write about technology stuff, and you can find, I write that on Medium, but you can go to arvinsingla.com and actually check out my articles there too.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's it.
That's it, man.
Thank you so much. That's how we started every episode.
Yeah, and hence the name of the new show.
And high fives. All right, thanks again, James, and thank you everyone for tuning in.
We'll see you next time.